Hi, folks. It's Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz from Israel 365 News, coming at you live from the Golan, where all the fun is. I'm here today. I have a very special guest, Yekutiel Ben Yaakov. He runs the Israel Dog Unit, which is a very special unit. They're the number one search and rescue outfit in Israel. They find and rescue dozens of missing people every year. I should warn you ahead of time that Mike is very tired. He hasn't slept in 3 days. He's been out in the field. There's been a lot of work for him lately, which hopefully he'll tell us about. And if he gets called away, it's a real emergency. We won't be making it up. It'll be a real thing. So I'd like to hear about this work that Mike does. I've wanted to talk to him for a while. He does amazing and totally necessary work. So Mike, why haven't you slept? What have you been up to?
Well, we've had one search after another for missing people. We also had a few security emergencies because what the IDU, the Israel Dog Unit, does is we provide service dogs and services free of charge with our service dogs to protect Jews in Israel, in different settlements and kibbutzim throughout the land, primarily in Judea and Samaria. And we look for missing people with a special search and rescue dog. So last night, we found a missing soldier, 19-year-old boy who was at high risk, and our searchers were the ones that actually found him. The day before, on Shabbat in Israel, we found a missing person in the forest in Jerusalem, and today we're out looking in the Yarkon Park in Tel Aviv for another missing person at risk. So
we have some pictures, Mike. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Let me see if I can see. Oh, that's actually yesterday we received an award from the Rehovot police. That's the police chief of Rehovot, and they gave us an award for the fellow that we found on Shabbat. Yeah.
Wow. This is
the person that we're looking for now, and it's good that you're showing this, even though I know probably most of your viewers are abroad. But anybody watching this in Israel, if you've seen Alon, some people call him Aaron Lauchuk, please make sure to call us. Our number's on the flyer there, and we're looking for him. He's in trouble. He's got some issues. He's been gone since Thursday. The weather's not the greatest right now in Israel. It's winter, and we're frightened that if he's in an open area, God forbid, that he could really need help.
Wow. So you go out. It sounds like you're doing a lot of searching. You found, you said, a 19-year-old soldier?
Last night, we got a call. It was about 1 a.m. We had just come back from another search and from some security training with the dogs. And I thought, okay, great. We're going to hit the sack now, get some sleep. About a half hour, an hour later, the phone rings. This is the police in Jerusalem. We need you and your dogs to come as quickly as possible. We have a soldier, a high-risk case. We've got to have you looking for him with your people. When can you be here? And so first I called our branch out in Gush Etzion area. I was hoping they can get there before we could, but I wasn't able to reach anyone. I said, oh, no, we got to get the car going. And, we're a poor organization. You never know if we're going to get the car started, but God is good. And the car started last night, and we filled it up with dogs and equipment and personnel, and we headed straight for Jerusalem. Within 45 minutes, we were there. Within an hour and 15 minutes, we found him. We were lucky, and he was heading out to an open forest area, and he had just had all kinds of issues. It was thought that he might harm himself, and so
many people, Mike, many people in the United States are familiar with law enforcement having their own canine units. Is that not the case here? These are private. These are not police units.
We're a private organization, a unit. People sometimes get confused because we're the IDU. I think it's the IDF. The IDF and the Israeli police do have dogs. They have service dogs. They have search and rescue units, but they're not called out that much. And the unit, we're talking about very few dogs that they have that are operational. And we've been on over 600 searches in recent years. I could say that I've seen the police dogs and the IDF dogs maybe in 10 cases total. So in most of these cases, we're out there alone. We're the lead search and rescue groups. There are other good groups out there like Zaka and Hatzalah and Yedidim. There's all kinds of good groups. The police have their own set of volunteers. But on the most part, we're the ones that are going into the deep into the field. We're staying overnight. We're out there with folding cots until we find the person. Because the first 3 days are really critical. Because if the person doesn't have water and if they're injured and they're in the forest or something like that, they've got, let's say, 3 days to live, unless they're able to find water and to sustain themselves. So those first 3 days are really critical.
Assuming that the weather isn't so bad, because that would obviously even limit it more.
If it goes below freezing.
Or if it's too hot. Yeah.
Right. Dehydrated and so on. Sure.
I want to emphasize that your organization, the IDU, the Israel Dog Unit, is a nonprofit. You're a private citizen trying to fill a very serious need.
Well, we're unique not only because we do both security work, preventing terrorist attacks, and patrolling and providing security dogs, but we do a lot of the search and rescue. We're unique in that we do both of those things combined, and we're not supported by the government. We're not an official government agency. They call us regularly, the police, the IDF, the fire department. But we are an independent organization. We don't do much fundraising because we're out in the field. We have a few hundred members in the association, but there's 20, 30 hardcore that are out there. You know, we have a base and we have barracks and dining room, and we have everything we like a real army base here. But we're self-sustained. Private donations is what keeps us going.
You mentioned that in addition to searches, which take up a huge amount of time, you offer what do you do for the security? If let's say I'm a guy, I live in the Holy Land of Judea, which I used to, in a lovely community, which I used to, that didn't have a fence, which it didn't, and so we were living there. And we could look across the neighbors and we could hear the muezzin 5 times a day. And we could look across and see our neighbors, but we didn't have a fence and we wanted security. What would you do for us?
Well, we started this unit 21 years ago. Originally, we just did security. The last 10 years, we entered on the search and rescue. And we started it because there were a lot of settlements that were being infiltrated, penetrated by terrorist attacks, the previous Arab revolt, the Intifada. And whole entire families were being massacred. Most, the Fogel family and other families. And we decided that we had to do something to try and prevent these terrorist attacks. It's obvious that the IDF can't put a soldier every 2 meters, every 2 yards to protect the settlements and every cafe in Israel, every bus. So what we did was we brought volunteers to Israel from abroad, as well as Israeli volunteers, and we started to patrol in these settlements with dogs, because everybody knows dogs can complement any security system. There's nothing better than a dog to detect terrorist attacks and also to deter, because the Muslims are.
Are they the same dogs, Mike? Is a guard dog the same as a rescue dog?
It could be, but we don't like to use dual dogs because we don't want to have an accident. When you're looking for a 3-year-old kid that's missing in the forest, we don't want to have an attack dog find him, even though they can have the same search skills. But the ending is different when you're catching a terrorist and when you're finding a missing Alzheimer's patient or a child that's missing in the woods. So we use different dogs, the same type of dog, mostly Malinois, Belgian Shepherds mostly. Those are the dogs used around the world for service. But some of them have a nice ending where they lick the person or they just bark when they find them, and others do the necessary job to neutralize the enemy threat if necessary. So, yeah.
If it wasn't for those security dogs, a lot of communities would be very hard pressed to exist.
Well, there's no question about it. Look, there was a 10-year-old girl that was raped by Bedouins out in the Negev last week, and we received a call Saturday night. You know, these people are living through that traumatic experience. They want to have a dog to give themselves confidence, to give themselves security. There are 14 families living in a pretty remote outpost in the Negev. It's close to the Egyptian border, an area called Azuz, and they called us and said, we want to have a dog. And when we get such a request, we provide them immediately with a dog. But it's got to be a dog that's stable, that can live with the family, but yet that they'll be able to get along with, and that will be a member of the family in the house. But on the other hand, that will provide security. If somebody, God forbid, tries to break into that house, this dog will know what to do to protect them. So they're armed and they have cameras and everything else, but that didn't help when the Arabs broke into their house and raped this horrible story.
I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize this is not even like a person who has a business and they keep a dog. We're talking real life and death, where these are communities that are being threatened by the most horrible type of human being that walks the planet. And I'm not being racist. I'm just saying anyone who is willing to, and we've heard horrifying stories of what happens when someone does infiltrate, and dogs are just really even better than regular solutions. Dogs can do things that technology can't. Yeah, here we go. So what do you do?
Dogs are.
Do you train the dogs? Do you what exactly do you provide the dogs? Train the dogs? I imagine the people also need training.
We breed the dogs, we train the dogs, we provide these dogs to security personnel on settlements, and also to families like this family that had this horrible incident, to offer security for people that are in vulnerable spots. They're out, they're pioneers, they're conquering the land, they're liberating the land, but they need extra security, and obviously they're not finding all of the security that they need with the police or the army. And as good as the police or army could possibly be, they can't be everywhere at the same time. So we can make our little contribution and protect 10 families here and another town there, and prevent a terrorist attack here and catch a terrorist there. And thank God we've caught many terrorists over the years. We've protected many people and prevented many terrorist attacks. So that's something that we're very proud to do. We ourselves engage in patrolling when there's an emergency, and we're able to get there quick enough. But more importantly, is we provide dogs. We provided over 400 dogs in the last 21 years for these people. And they're not just guard dogs. These are dogs that are partners. They are patrol dogs. They are dogs that can respond. They live together with the family or with the security personnel, and they respond to emergencies or prevent the emergencies from happening in the first place.
Wow. So how many dogs do you have for search, and how many dogs have you said you've put out 400 dogs for security? Is for security?
Yeah, at any given time we have approximately 70 dogs that are training, that are active in training. There are many older dogs that have been dispatched. We had a dog that we dispatched to Hebron, that's in the over the Kasbah, in the Avram Avinu community. There was the doctor of Hebron had a dog for 12 years, and the Arabs never bothered him. The second his dog died, he was subject to Arab attacks. They tried to break into his home 4 times. The last time, they were actually entering his kitchen, which is above the Arab marketplace in Hebron. And the guy called us up and he said, "Listen, we need a dog. Can you get us a dog?" I gave him my personal dog, Aisha. I gave him my dog. I said, "I'm coming down there right now." He said, "Well, you don't have to come down there right now." I said, "No, I'm coming now, because if you're in danger." We've had cases where people asked us for dogs, and we got there too late. We got there a day later or 2 days later, and the person had already been killed. That was the case with Nati Ozeri. Thursday night, he appealed to us to give him a dog. I said, "Call me Saturday night after Shabbat." And I turned on the radio Saturday night, and he was murdered. He knew that he was being looked at. He felt the danger. And so we take it very seriously when a private person or when a community asks us for a service dog. We don't charge any money. Of course, if they've got money to help cover the expenses, that's great. But that will never be the obstacle. And in most cases, these towns, they're struggling to survive, and these people are struggling to survive. They're working in agriculture from the morning till the evening. They can't go out at night and stay up all night, guard their flock or guard their fields. And the agricultural terror throughout Israel is really obscene. And there's millions and
we had a honey company, a woman that was making honey, and they stole all her hives, which are out in the field, and then they came back a couple weeks later, broke into her factory and stole everything, all of her honey, which honey it takes a year to produce. The I used to live in Gush Etzion, burning down orchards. Orchards take so long to grow. It's really, the agricultural is so hard, and cameras don't cut it. Dogs do. That's the difference. Someone, Asina, God bless you, Sina Trover. She said, "Can you send your address that we could at least help for dog food? Maybe some squeaky toys, maybe some dog biscuits." You go to this. If you go to this website, IsraelDogUnit.com, not only will you be able to help out, which is hugely important, but you'll also be able to see actually what they do, which when you see it, it's much more. I just also want to point out, we saw a lot of pictures of very pretty, nice dogs being comfortable with people. When I lived in Gush Etzion, I got a dog, and my wife was like, "I don't get it. We have a sweet little dog, but why does this help us?" And once you see a dog, when their owner is threatened, it becomes a totally different animal. You have this cute little dog that's in the home, and then the home gets threatened, and that dog turns into a killing machine that will protect its family at all costs. And that's why these dogs are so important. They save lives, absolutely save lives. They save lives in search and rescue. They save lives in by protection. And the Arabs do fear the dogs. I know that for a fact. I've spoken to Arabs, and they are terrified of these dogs. Here's a question: Go ahead. How much does it cost to take a dog through training? And you say you breed them yourselves, but dogs are not free.
The process, it doesn't matter whether you buy a dog ready-made from Europe or the States and bring them over. Of course, it's hard for them to acclimate. It's always better to start from puppy age up until about a year and a half when they're fully ready for service. And that whole process costs about $10,000. But, $10,000 per dog, that may save many lives. Like this dog in Hebron that I'm talking about, Aisha, she prevented at least one terrorist attack, and she found 2 missing people. We moved her over from search and rescue to security. And she is doing a wonderful job in Hebron. She actually prevented a terrorist attack there about 6 months ago in Avram Avinu. And in many cases, the Arab terrorists, when they're caught, and they ask them, "Why did you go into that house, or why did you run away?" And they say, "Well, because there was a dog there." We had an incident in Kiryat Arba where we were patrolling with a few dogs, and we caught an Arab terrorist who was trying to sneak into a house and kill the people in there. We were chasing after him with the dog, and he ran straight to the military compound there to hand himself in. And when the secret, when they came back, they said to him, "Well, why did you hand yourself in?" And he said, "Look at those guys. They got those crazy dogs there. We'd rather be with you than with them." So they're we even once tried to raise pigs in Israel. This was a big story about 15 years ago because we said, look, if they're so superstitious, and if the pigs have the ability to sniff out bombs even more than the dogs, so we'll have a tremendous deterrent factor, and it did. Everybody was freaking out here. In the end, we stopped working with them. It was difficult for us, but we'll do whatever it takes to save lives in Israel. We don't just use dogs. We have horses, we have drones, we have jeeps. But our main claim to fame are the dogs, because they're really fantastic.
So you're a nonprofit organization, and you say that over the years you've only seen a few times where the official army and police dogs have been sent out. Why is that? Why don't they have their own units that are activated, that are deployed regularly, and why do they have to rely on a nonprofit organization?
I'll tell you, you're asking a great question, because last week in Israel, everybody was following the story of a woman who had passed over into the border into Syria, and Israel spent a lot of money and a lot of work to get her back. They freed prisoners, and some people say I heard once they're buying vaccines for the Syrians, and they really, so why don't they do that for people that go missing domestically? And that's a really good question. Why is it not taken more seriously? I mean, the army that has, I don't know how many dogs to protect the borders and to find explosives, and the police have so many dogs to find drugs. Why do they have so few dogs to do search and rescue? Why is it not important enough for them? I don't know. I really don't know. And the reason why we got so involved in this, originally we were just doing the security stuff, is because even though it's hard to believe, we saw that this is falling between the chairs, as they say in Hebrew, and nobody's doing it. At least nobody's doing it effectively, and that's why we do it. So
is someone involved in government advocacy to try to get the government to invest more in that resource?
That's another great question, and like I said, we're not the best at raising funds or administrative work or lobbying, even though we have a good cause and we can present that cause and show the need. We're mostly in the field. We're a small unit. We're a poor unit. We're a humble unit. We're a modest unit. Yeah, we save lives, a life here, a life there, dozens of lives that we have up on our wall. If I wasn't on this computer, I would show you about 100 people that we've saved, where we can look at the pictures and say these people would have been dead if it wouldn't have been for our dogs and our people finding them. So there is a great need there. There could and should be more advocacy and more government involvement, but there isn't. And so this is a unique mitzvah, which really is not and cannot be done by others at this time, and that's why we're so committed to it.
So why does it seem like all the people get lost in the middle of the night? It seems like, so talk me through this. You get a call in the middle of the night. You have a truck. You load up how many dogs? You get a call that a guy has gone missing.
We have a few trucks, and
by the way, I should add. I'm sorry, Mike. One second.
Generators.
One second. If Mike gets interrupted, it's not theater. Mike is always on call. If he gets interrupted by a phone call, it might be an actual emergency that he gets called away for. So if we have to interrupt this, I apologize.
The same phone that we're using as a hotspot here is a phone that is actually the phone where we get the emergency calls. And my phone number, that phone is on all the flyers. The flyer you saw earlier about the current missing person that we're actively looking for. Well, it says on there, if anyone's seen him, they should call this number or call the police. People usually call the police first, and they get some switchboard. Hold on, we'll get the investigator, and it can take them an hour to get through to somebody. Then they call our number, and okay, where'd you see him? We send somebody right down there. We're checking cameras. We're moving. So, that's that phone is an emergency hotline. So it could be that somebody just called right now to tell us that they saw the missing person or thought they saw him, but it's someone else here is handling it. So,
walk me through a search. You get a call. What's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do? And how long do you keep searching for?
Well, we at any given time we have 10 or 15 people at the ready, sleeping in their boots or awake in our base. So the first thing I do is we send out an emergency message to people on the base. Let's getting ready. Start loading up these dogs onto the vehicles. Let's make sure we have all the equipment, water for the dogs, generator and gasoline and everything we need. Marking tapes. We also have a special application that we use where we can see where everybody has searched, and there's not duplicate work and nothing falls, nothing gets left out. And we're driving to the scene with the dogs, with the equipment, and we start searching. Well, of course, we also have a team that investigates, that speaks to the family, that tries to get as much information as possible. Knowledge is power. and it's much more of a chance to find a person if we know more about their profile, the type of how far they might walk, different types of places they may be looking at. So all this is happening at the same time. And then a distribution network is getting out the flyers online and sometimes on the streets, so that people, if anyone sees them, we can get a clue where to better look for them. So this is all happening simultaneously. We could be in the field nonstop, as I mentioned, for the first 3 days. We're switching each other off and bringing new people down, sleeping on cots in the field. We also have caravans that we can hitch up to the vehicles. So if it's really bad weather, the dogs, if they need air conditioning, they're not going to die of heat stroke when they're resting, and the people too. Or if it's raining real hard when we're changing shifts, people go back and rest in the caravan because it could be in the middle of the forest, and we have to have the ability to switch off and function.
What is your relationship with organizations like Zaka International Search and Rescue and Yekutiel United Hatzalah?
We have fantastic relationship with Yekutiel and with Zaka. We with their chiefs of operations, we work with them regularly. As I mentioned, these are holy organizations that do holy work. Not only do they do their life-saving work and their vital work that they do, but they also help in search and rescue. They have their own search and rescue outfits, but we're more equipped to go into the depth of it with their help. Very often they call us in and they say, "Listen, Mike, we need you. We need the dogs. We have this case. The case could be that we never even heard about." Sometimes they have better relationships with the local precincts, and they hook us up to get the necessary information. So we work together, shoulder to shoulder, and get the job done. But once again, we have the tools to really get into, as they say, into the kishkis, into the depths of the forest or wherever it might be, and to stay it out more than just for a few hours. The Hatzalah, they get a call, they come, they patch the guy up, they bring him to the hospital, they do wonderful work. That's the type of things that they're konanim, that their people know how to do. Staying overnight in the forest.
First responders.
It's not for everybody. And Zaka does their thing. I think it's wonderful that they contribute also to this area of search and rescue. But we're at the end of the day, we're the ones carrying the stretcher out of the forest. And to the Hatzalah guys that are waiting over there.
What are the geographic borders that you work in? Do you work in first of all, do you work only in Israel or outside of Israel? And if you work only in Israel, are you working from Eilat to the Golan, or you're working only in specific areas?
We're working from Eilat to the Golan, to Kiryat Shmona. We're a national organization. In that sense, it's also unique. We have cases all over the country, and so far we've never had to say no to anyone. Any given day, we usually have at least 1 or 2 cases that we're handling, and thank God we've had. Even though we're limited, God has done tremendous miracles for us, because with zero funding, we are there. We've never had to say no, whether it's a security situation or a search and rescue situation. I don't know how we do it. Certainly, it's not us. It's God helping us.
I don't know how you do it either. It really is amazing. And I'm always hearing about the work you're doing. When I watch the news.
Tomorrow we're heading out to the Egyptian border, where near this town with Azuz, where that girl was raped, to provide them with we already have a dog ready for them, a 7-month-old, beautiful German Shepherd, and we're gonna get him used to the house there. We're gonna go down there and train him regularly, and hopefully it's gonna work out there. We're gonna be doing training along the way in Kiryat Gat, because if we're already going that far, we're going to utilize different types of terrain, and part of the day we're going to actually do a regular search and rescue training. The rest of the day we're going to be dispatching this new dog with that family out in Azuz on the Egyptian border. And if we get any calls in between that there's a missing person, we may get a call to come out to the Golan Heights and then we'll be going straight across the country from the Egyptian border to the Syrian border.
Well, if you get a call up to the Golan Heights, you're more than welcome to stop in for a cup of coffee. And if you need a place to crash, I've got extra beds for you. I live in Katsrin. Give me a call, Mike. I'd be happy to have
Now
you.
you're in trouble because we're going to take you up on that, Adam.
I want you to take me up on it. I do. I sincerely do. 1,000%. And I'm not just saying it. I sincerely do. God bless you, man. What you do is amazing. And, I mean, God forbid, it's God forbid I should need it, but someone needs it at any given time, and I'd like to be a part of it. I really would love to, if I can put you up for a night, if I can give the coffee, if I can make the sandwiches, man, it's a zchut. It's a huge merit. It really is, because what you do is it actually reminds me an awful lot of the early days of Israel, when everyone there was, the IDF, there was an IDF, but that was kind of like, most of the really important things were being done by people who were where it needed to be done. And I think that's what you're doing. You're actually really standing in the boots of the founders of Israel, following in actually how they did it. So I think that's very clearly true.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, I'm serious about the coffee. I'm serious about the open door. Katsrin in the Golan.
That offer.
Please, really, please, really. So yeah, this is wow. So how many volunteers do you have?
We have about 300 volunteers across the country, but the core group is less than 50. Like I said, any given time on our base, ready for emergency response, there's 10 to 15 people. So we're a relatively small organization that has a really big job, and that but we make our small contribution to saving lives almost every day in the Holy Land.
Yeah, I think I mean, like I said, when you live out in these communities, even if I lived right next door to an army base, and we had several unfortunate terrorist attacks inside the community. And unfortunately, I mean, they can't be everywhere all the time. And the terrorists, they have time, they'll wait. And if you have a dog, well, they're not going to come. And that's really the big aspect.
It increases your chance of survival 1,000 times more, 1,000%.
Absolutely.
Dogs are dogs. They're in the end, it's up to God, but we have to do our share. And certainly, there's no better tool to complement any security apparatus than a dog, whether it's to alert people, to deter, or to actually help neutralize. This is a biological weapon. God created the world in such a way, and he created dogs that they have the ability to do things that we can't. They can sniff, and they can do what they know how to do. And we just need to know how to harness it properly, how to train them properly, and how to properly use them and maintain them to protect lives.
I heard once someone said the word for dog in Hebrew is kelev, and kelev actually means kitlev, like the heart. A dog is they were the friends of man. They were allies for so long because their heart, their nature is so compatible with ours. So I think it's definitely and Kalev was one of the spies, one of the ones who made it into Israel. So
yeah, no question about it.
So, Yekutiel, I don't want to keep you too long. I could talk to you for days. I want you to stop by my house when you're up in the Golan. I'm sorry?
We were out in Katsrin last week. We were looking for a missing person in the Zavitan Valley, a guy that went missing actually a few years ago, but from time to time, the police renewed the search, hoping to recover the body or body parts, bring him to burial. And they called us out, and it's kind of strange. Here we are coming from the Shomorn, or to the Golan Heights. You would think the police would call their own unit or whatever, but we're more than happy to go. We went down there with about 10 or 15 people to help continue to search some relevant places there. Unfortunately, still no success recovering anything. It's sometimes very frustrating, but it's worth the effort.
I don't want to keep you too long because you've been out 3 nights in a row. You need your sleep, you need your rest, and who knows, 5 minutes after we get off the phone, you might get another call. You have any more questions for our dear friend Josh?
Well, someone is asking from Facebook if you put up signage on homes to alert people that a trained dog is in the home to discourage intruders.
Oh, absolutely, and we also train the dogs to kind of patrol inside the house. So if anyone comes near the house, the dogs already start barking, and they're at the ready. We do special exercises where we circle the house, and the dogs learn to detect people from, even sometimes from a distance. So yeah, we put up signs, and we also have the teeth behind it to do what needs to be done.
Do you sell dogs? If somebody wants one of your dogs, can you purchase a dog from you?
Technically, yes. I mean, we're not a business. If we have a litter and we have 10 puppies, well, if we only need 6 or 7 or 8, we'll sell the other 2 if people want to buy them. But yeah,
I'm speaking about the trained ones, not the ones that are.
Yeah, we also provide training. There are people that technically can come and train with us for free if necessary. But if they have money, like I mentioned earlier, those services are provided. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Alex asked how you can donate. Again, that's the website, IsraelDogUnit.com. It has a way to donate on the site. It's also very, very interesting to see what they do. They do so much with so many people. The training is fascinating. It really. I was looking at it. You train the dogs to work with the person. If the person has a gun, it makes for a very, very effective defense.
Is there anything? One more question, and then before we go, is there anything unique about your training versus the training that is done all over the world with dogs?
Yeah, well, I think our situation in Israel is unique, and we have very unique situations here. And it's in Israel, the families are pioneers, and they're living on the border, so they have to become soldiers. But it's not like a unit in the army where you take the dog unit in the army where they take a soldier for 3 years and they give a dog. We have to turn civilians into effective dog handlers, and that's a real challenge. And it's taken us many years to wean into a fine art to be able to customize the type of training that men, women, and children need to provide.
So in that respect, it's also very different from the army.
In some ways, it's similar, but in some ways, it's different, and we have to customize it for every family, for every town, for every different type of terrain, and so we and it has to be a very stable dog. It can't be a crazy dog that's going to bite the family. So it's got to be a dog that will be stable at home, but will know what to do if somebody's trying to break into the home or into the town. So that's a unique balance.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yekutiel, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate your time, and God bless you for all you do. It's really amazing stuff. I'd like to thank all the people who came to see. You're seeing an inside look at what it takes to live in Israel. What it takes to be a Jew, fulfilling the covenant and settling Judea and Samaria, and bringing the prophecy to life. Thank you so much, all of you. If you bless us, we got to bless you back. That's the rules. That's the way it's written. Be blessed and have an amazing day.
Okay, thank you.